To this regular meeting of the San Benito County Board of Supervisors, November 22nd, 2016. I will look to our county counsel so he can report out a closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Board of Supervisors met in closed session to discuss agenda items number 1 through 6 on today's agenda. Agenda item number 3 and agenda item number 6 were removed or pulled from this agenda and not discussed in closed session. The board did meet and confer in regards to agenda item number 1 regarding conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation and the initiation of litigation pursuant to subdivision D4 of Government Code section 54956.9 in 3 cases. At this time, the board took no reportable action. The board met in regards to agenda item number 2 to discuss with legal counsel anticipated litigation and the significant exposure to litigation pursuant to subdivision D2 and E2 of Government Code section 54956.9 in 1 case. The facts and circumstances justifying this closed session are the potential of additional litigation regarding the master tax sharing agreement currently being litigated in Award Homes, Inc. versus the County of San Benito et al., case number CU-15-0099, and BMC Promiseway, LLC, doing business as Benchmark Communities versus the County of San Benito et al., filed in the Superior Court of California in the County of San Benito under case number CU-15-00056. At this time, the board took no reportable action. Agenda item number 5, the board met and conferred in closed session with its legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation and the significant exposure to litigation pursuant to section 54956.9 in 1 case. This closed session is authorized by section 54956.9 D2 and E1. At this time, the board took no reportable action. Agenda item number 4 will be discussed in closed session at the end of the regular session today. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. Moving on to item C. Now, this is a fun item. Supervisor Anthony Botello will be presenting the proclamation to Mr. Jim Ostick, acknowledging his unbelievable journey across America. And so this is a fun item because obviously what he accomplished was special. And maybe once the recognition is done, I don't know about the rest of the board, but I want to have a picture with Mr. Ostick. So spend some time for a photo op. So, yes, Mr. Botello?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I would like to make a motion to approve the proclamation.
Is there a second? Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Great. And I would like to invite Mr. Ostick to the podium, as well as maybe the REACH representatives, Mr. Pitt and Ms. Anglin and congratulations, Jim. What a journey. And
thank you.
And going across the country campaigning. You probably felt like Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, but what Mr. Ostick was doing was campaigning for our health and our parks and a good, sustainable way of living. And I believe it was your second trip that you've been able to do this?
Well, I did a bicycle across the country around the perimeter of the United States when I retired a couple years ago, and this was a walk. But this had a purpose, you know. This had not just my entertainment.
Oh, absolutely, and it was a purpose, and it was a purpose for our community, and your generous effort to let us all know that our parks are special. We got to use them. It's for public health, or for not only our youth, but for people our age and older. And we're really, really grateful and just amazed that a feat could be done like this. It's not just in the movies. It's not Forrest Gump, but the county is very proud that you've been able to accomplish your goal, and for all of us. And we have this proclamation of acknowledging that completed journey, and REACH, or Samuel Foundation, and his many friends and family. Whereas Jim Ostick took upon himself, with the support of REACH, Samuel Foundation founded, and his many friends and family, to walk from the Atlantic Ocean on the shores of Delaware to Point Reyes National Seashore in California, and whereas thereby to facilitate a healthy community through trails and paths, the preservation and enhancement of our parks, facilities, and recreation programs in San Bernardino County, and whereas that his heroic efforts towards building the recreation, exercise, and community health of San Bernardino Foundation endowment funds that will assist in maintaining and supporting our San Bernardino County parks, facilities, and recreation programs for succeeding generations to come and complete. And whereas REACH, the San Bernardino Foundation, founded in 2012 as a nonprofit 501c3 organization, fully acknowledges and gives witness to this historic, selfless journey benefiting his beloved San Bernardino County. Be it therefore resolved that Jim Osdick be recognized by the San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors and congratulates him for completion of his journey from shore to shore of these United States of America on October 1st, 2016. Congratulations.
Coast to coast, baby. Since I'm a District 2 resident, I'd like to give Anthony this little placard from the American Discovery Trail.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to treasure this
I can put that
in a very special place. Thank you.
Do I have a minute to say something? Or?
Oh, yes,
I just want to say how wonderful the reception was, and everywhere I went across the country, mostly through small communities, you know, and I probably show this to everyone. This is the thing that I had attached to my little push cart, you know, sort of advertising San Benito County a little bit. I must have explained the significance of Benny Benitoite, the long-eared kangaroo rat, and the you know, the state gem of California, Benitoite. So I must have explained that 1,000 times to people. It was a good conversation starter to introduce them to our county and the beautiful place we're trying to preserve. The other thing is we don't talk too much about the economic impact of trails, and everywhere I went, if I was near a body of water, there was a recreation trail. This is something that is recognized around the country as something positive to do, not just for your health, but also for small businesses. They attract businesses, and the impact on the economy is just very positive. With your permission, Board, I would like to send you an email with a link to something called AmericanTrails.org. If you look at the menu, it has a link to this whole full page of documentation of the positive economic impact of trails on communities. And you know, I'm a former teacher. I don't want to give you homework, but it's kind of like that. You know, I'd like for you to look at it and see. You know, it'll help reinforce our effort, I think. So, thank you, Anthony.
Thank you very much, Jim. And maybe Dawn and Valerie, anyone else would like to speak?
Well, no, Jim said it all.
Okay, well, thank you. Don't forget your proclamation. And
Hey,
we say thank you.
Hey,
I would like to say one thing.
hey, Jim, and if you could hold on right there, I'm going to have the board come down there and we'll take a picture.
I do want to add one thing. This was Reach Across America, and now Jim and the Reach San Benito Foundation are going to bring it home and create Reach Across San Benito County so that we can extend this into the county and demonstrate to people the importance of parks, trails, and recreation in their health and in their well-being. Thank you.
So, how are we going to do this?
I think we're.
You guys want to join us? Come on.
Sure. Anybody else got it?
A media man.
All right, great.
Thank you. USA.
Anita.
Thank you.
I'm going to run. Yes.
You had it on slow mo first, so you got a little bit of slow mo.
I'd also like to recognize our local media outlets, in particular the Bonito Link, because if you were on there over the summer, you know, they detailed Mr. Ostick's journey, you know, as he went from coast to coast, which was great for them to do. So, all right. So moving on, item D, which is our public comment. This is opportunity for any member of the public to address this board on items of interest not appearing on the agenda. No action may be taken unless it is provided by Government Code Section 54954.2. Mr. Clerk.
Kathy Alameda.
I'd also like to welcome Mr. Chase Graves, our new clerk of the board. So anyone that hasn't had a chance to meet him, please, when we have a break, why don't you come up and meet him? This is his first time really organizing our meeting for us. So thanks, Chase. Welcome.
Hi, good morning. My name is Kathy Alameda. I'm president of the HOA for Hidden Valley. I've been up here before asking for road repair, so I just want to give you an update on what our community is dealing with. So bear with me. I'm going to read an email that I sent to Jerry Munzer, our supervisor. Dear Jerry, thank you for meeting with my neighbors and I on Tuesday, September 20th, 2016. I appreciate your help with the conditions of Seneca Road. I was disappointed and surprised by the attitude of your county's road manager. I feel he did not come with a helpful or open mind to work together with us to correct the problems of the road. Any suggestions presented to him were met with arrogant and a condescending attitude. The thought that stop signs would improve the road conditions is not the solution that the neighbors and myself are looking for. I would like the county to consider using the $48,000 in the long-term solutions for the road. It is my hope that the road can be repaved with all the lines repainted. I know the county has a major problem with the roads and the funds to repair them. I believe that creating a list of roads in the order of need and priority can be beneficial to the county in deciding where to spend the few dollars that it has for the roads. It is my hope that we can continue working together to create a solution that is agreeable to all involved. Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Marty Richmond.
Good morning, Marty Richmond from Hollister. First of all, I'd like to wish you and all of your loved ones a very happy Thanksgiving holiday. It's my favorite holiday. 4 days off when I used to be working, no gift-giving pressure, lots of food and football. What can be wrong with that? So I'd like to discuss a couple of separate issues. You may already know that the City Council yesterday of Hollister did not take any action on your request for support for helping to fund a study for a fire district. I, in general, am for that, but I didn't speak for it because, for whatever reason, the item that came forward just said they were asking for 40% funding from the city, but it had no number. And I just I couldn't bring myself to get up and say, yeah, I would support 40% of a number we don't even know what it is. So maybe we would do better if we had some kind of estimate of what the cost would be. So you ask them for 40%. I'd be willing to stand up there and say, yeah, that seems worthwhile if I knew 40% of what, okay? So I couldn't do that. The second issue was, as I had stated many times here and also at the city on the medical marijuana issue, I would take a look and see how the county voted on the marijuana issue altogether, Prop 64 and the medical marijuana issue. And the county voters have spoken. They want it. So the cities recognize that, and it looks like they're going ahead with probably 2 dispensaries. And they're, of course, working hard over where to put them and what the requirements would be. But there are a lot of people in the room who think they're getting those 2 permits. But 2, if it winds up to be 2, and I don't know if it will be, that will be the limit. And so I hope people realize, I was reading a story about what happened in Orange County. They had 20 permits to give out. They had 627 qualified applications. And they gave the 20 permits out, and then a year later, when people found out how difficult it was, they only had two places open, 2 out of the 20. So one gentleman got up and said, I already spent a lot of money and made a big investment, blah, blah, blah. I don't know who it was. Why would you do that? There's going to be a limited number of permits, and you know, the fact that you've made an investment in advance is not going to bring you to that line. I think that's reasonable to say. People are going to get qualified, then there will be some kind of selection process, probably a lottery or something, if there's too many qualified people. So they're moving on, and I thank you for your time. I just wanted to fill you in.
Okay. Any other speakers in the audience who wish to speak on any items not appearing on the agenda? Now's the time to do so. See none, we will move on to item E, department head announcements. Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, we do have some announcements today. We have an announcement out of our RMA office department, Brent Barnes.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and board members. I just wanted to report very briefly that last week we had a joint meeting of the San Benito County Planning Commission, the Hollister Planning Commission, and representatives from the council in San Juan Bautista on a workshop, a futures workshop, if you will. We talked about a wide range of issues. It was, by all accounts, a very useful meeting for the groups. The first time they've talked together in a long time. There's a lot to do, and the best outcome from my perspective is that we're going to talk more, probably in the spring, and we'll continue to have these joint meetings and move together forward together on at least in a conversation, if not with identical goals. Just wanted to mention that to the board.
Yeah,
thanks.
I have a.
Sure.
I'm sorry. The question I have: did anything come out of that meeting as far as improving communications between staffs on projects? The concern I have, there's a couple of projects in San Juan Bautista that, in retrospect, should have been commented by the county and impacts more clearly addressed. Drainage is one that comes right off the top of my head, because that lower San Juan Valley, it could barely sustain the drainage from coming out of the watershed and so forth. And they moved forward with a couple of projects with a mitigated negative deck. And I don't think the county made any comments on either projects that have been approved. And then also in our case with our work that's being done on Southside Road and Enterprise Road areas, I'm sure, and we've heard it in intergovernmental, that Hollister is concerned about traffic circulation and so forth, and how we're working together with them on that. Was there anything,
We didn't talk about specific projects. We did talk about the Southside Road area a bit. We talked about some mega projects, such as the high-speed rail that may come through the county, and the implications of those things. In general, both staffs were there in the meeting, and we have a good working relationship with both staffs. All 3 staffs were there. We have a good working relationship with the other groups. It's a matter of finding time and making sure that we communicate on the individual projects. I can commit that we'll focus on that. But this was really a high-level meeting, and we intend to drill down into the various topics as we move forward.
Okay. I just hope going forward, establishing these relationships is important, and sharing information at a staff level is as important before we move into projects that have an adverse.
My approach here is we are one community.
Okay, thank you.
Did I see another hand?
Supervisor Dela Cruz.
Thank you. Did they talk about low-income housing, affordable housing from the city's perspective?
From the state's perspective?
City's perspective.
From the city's perspective, no.
They didn't, because we, the county, are moving forward, and the city's not moving forward. Is that correct?
I don't have detailed information on what the city's doing. I do know that we're still working on moving forward with the housing coordinator jointly between the city and the Hollister and the county, and that would be an indication that they're very interested in affordable housing programs.
But the city did not express they're going in that direction, that they're about to develop.
No, again, this was a very high-level sort of
Got it.
meeting, and that's something we
Okay.
can focus on. Thank you for the note.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any other questions of Mr. Barnes?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Brent.
We have another announcement out of our elections office. We have Joe Paul Gonzalez, our auditor, controller, and elections.
Good morning, Chair, Board of Supervisors. Just wanted to give you guys a kind of an election update of the November 8th election. Out of 28,222 voters that were registered to vote on that election, we've now counted 20,938 ballots. That's 74.19% turnout so far. And as of last night at 6 p.m., there still remains to be processed 700 vote-by-mail ballots, another 715 provisional ballots, and 185 damaged or unreadable ballots need to be evaluated. So there's there's 1,600 ballots that need to be processed yet. And I know that people are anxious to hear the final results, but California is one of those, one of the counties that has various voting options, and we have a fail-safe system for voters. So if they can't make it to the polls on election day, we have other means for voters to be able to vote, and they have the right to use those means. We anticipate that it will take time to get to the rest of these votes, because especially the provisional ballots. With provisional ballots, there's a lengthy process to ensure that that voter was qualified to vote, did not vote in another county, for example. So there's various checks that we need to do to ensure that we can count that ballot to vote. So I'd like to acknowledge that the elections department and all of the employees of the permanent employees of the elections and of the election volunteers, I'd like to acknowledge their efforts to getting this done, because they've been working every day to get this work done. So as we have another update, I'll be letting the board know. We expect that we will have the election certified by the 28 days. For the presidential elections, the canvass process is 28 days. For the other contests, it's 30 days. But we think we'll be able to get it done within the 28 days, post-election day. That is, well, I just wanted to also mention, too, that even though this process is long and it's agonizing for some candidates and campaigns and parties, California chooses to be complete and accurate in its vote count tally over speed. And so I just want to remind the public that we acknowledge that they want results quickly. I know I've had some calls concerning one of these ballots going to be finally counted. Perhaps the board has had some of those calls themselves, but we're working steadily away at this process. In 2018, this process is actually going to get worse. It's going to take longer because in 2018 the law changes where a person who is 18 years old can go to the polls on election day and register the vote, and at the same time vote. So essentially there's going to be a lot more provisional ballots in 2018. Okay. That's my update.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
If I
Supervisor
could,
Barrios.
Joe Paul, thank you so much for all that information. I want to congratulate you and your department. I know that there were glitches, and you worked through them professionally, transparent. I was at the City Council meeting when you made that presentation, and I think the citizens in this community really appreciate that openness, and very professional. You worked through it, and we thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much. I'll extend that to my staff.
Please. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Barrios. Okay. Thank you, Joe Paul.
We have another announcement out of our library. We have our librarian, Nora Conte, here.
Good morning, board members, members of the public, and those that are viewing the proceedings at home. Happy holidays to all of you. A couple of announcements I have. We are decorating the library with the community literacy tree. So we invite everyone. It's a family literacy tree. Come on in, write down the books that your children have read, and put the leaf up on the literacy tree. Also, the 10th annual holiday program will once again take place this year. We invite Santa to come visit with the children. We are collaborating with the Hollister School District. Children will be receiving fresh apples. Santa will be giving to them. They will also be receiving free books that they can choose from. This comes because of our friends of the library that provide the books. The incentive that we're looking for is for children to come into the library, and we want them to continue to build their home library as well. The other event that's going to be coming is the Decorate the Ugly Sweater. And this is an event for teens. We have a volunteer group that's working with our library, where they're inviting the teens to come in and providing decorations for the ugly sweater and see who the winner is. The teens that will be participating with this program, as well as the teens that do come to our holiday program, will also be receiving free books. None of these programs would be possible if we didn't have the Friends of the Library supporting us and all of some of the businesses that support libraries, as well as a taxpayer that sends donations to the Friends of the Library, so that we can continue to have these type of programs and outreach to the community. We reached out this year also. We went to 5 of the back-to-school nights. That was very well received. The bookmobile was out there. Volunteers and staff were out there to reach out to our students. Thank you, and may all of you have a happy, happy holiday season.
Thank you, Nora.
We have another announcement out of our OES EMS department. That will be our OES manager, Kevin O'Neill.
Well, good morning. So I actually have 2 announcements. Mr. Richmond touched on one of them, and that was the RFP item on the City of Hollister City Council agenda last night. It did not pass. Mr. Richmond pretty much explained part of the reason why, which was they were curious 40% of what, but also the city expressed a concern over why participate if they already have their own fire department. So I just wanted to make sure the board was aware of that.
I have one quick question right on that point. In our contract, it states that they would participate in the formation of a JPA and fire district. It's stated in the contract.
That is correct.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may answer that. Yes, it is stated in our contract. It's on attachment D, page 2 of 2, under D9. It says the county and the city will continue to evaluate the feasibility of a formation of a JPA or special district for fire protection. So it does.
So how do they justify not participating?
They did not address that specific issue in the meeting yesterday. The CAO has tasked me with assisting the administration department with the formation of the RFP. We'll continue to work on that and hope to have that on the next agenda for the board to consider. If there's no more questions on that, yes.
Yeah. So just clarification, the city of San Juan has passed a resolution to participate, correct?
You know, they've passed a resolution in support of this. I do not believe they've had a meeting since our last fire protection council where they're taking the actual cost share of the RFP back to their governing body.
I think you're right, but at least they have passed a resolution to participate
yes.
in the study of a fire district.
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, yes.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
A comment, Mr. Chair, that do we want to go back to this? I know we can't discuss it at length because it's not on the agenda, but I'd like it to be in some future date. That once we do have a dollar amount that this 40% is going to, relate to, that maybe it should go back to the city, and this way there will be no excuses as to, well, we don't know how much we're going to pay. So we may proceed as a county, but I think they need to be taken to task again. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor Batella.
You really want the comments right now on this issue? I could wait till my supervisor will.
Yeah, let's wait until then. That's right.
Okay, good, because I have some comments.
Let's wait until then.
Unfortunately, I'm just the messenger. I wish I had all the
You're the messenger.
Sit down.
Not you. I got you off somebody's head.
I do have some very good news for a second announcement. At the last Board of Supervisors meeting, I came to the board and let you guys know and invited you to a functional exercise we were holding. And I wanted to report back that on November 17th, last Thursday, we did conduct a functional exercise in partnership with all of our public safety departments and agencies, and it was a tremendous success. I'd like to thank my staff, our EMS coordinator, Chris Mangano, who I'm going to allow come up and give you a little more details on it. She led the whole planning facilitation of the exercise in partnership with Ryan Dehart from our county public health department. The two of them had countless meetings working together, and just on a logistics side, on a planning side, it was great to work with public health and just accomplish this tremendous exercise, which was pretty much just a first in this county. We had other counties copying us, actually, based on the scenario that we had chosen. I'd also like to thank Sheriff Thompson, who attended and provided tremendous amount of support, both his own time and allocating his staff time. Our Chief Probation Officer, who also was a tremendous help in terms of providing information and resources, and Supervisor Barrios as well for attending and observing. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our EMS coordinator, who can give you a little more update on the scenario itself and what we learned. So with that, Chris.
Good morning. So as Kevin mentioned, the event took place Thursday morning. We used Premier Cinemas on McRae Street, and our scenario was an active shooter in the movie theater. We had about 30 volunteers. Public health participated with volunteers. Some of their staff joined us. We had CERT volunteering, and then friends and family were there to help out. We moulaged them, so we had makeup. They had very real-looking wounds on them, and they were placed in the movie theater. A movie started, and then we had a gunman who was a disgruntled employee start shooting victims. We ended up with 3 fatalities, several critical patients. We had Life Flight from Stanford land, and they were going to fly several of the very critical patients. We had an amazing collaboration with all law enforcement. PD and Sheriff's Department worked seamlessly with fire and AMR, and it was really a fabulous event. A lot of education, a lot of improvements that can be made, and we saw a lot of positive things. So it was a really nice event. Took about 3 hours, and then we met at Hollister Fire Station for a debriefing, and we'll have our report on that in the next couple weeks. That was our summary. Thank you for attending.
So this exercise, as I stated, was kind of a first for this county. I actually was unfortunate enough to play the role of the shooter. And I'll tell you, when Sheriff Thompson's deputies came in and Chief Westrick's officers came in, I got chills. And as a resident of this county, I feel much safer knowing that the sheriff's deputies are on the streets protecting me, as well as the officers from City of Hollister. And again, I'd just like to thank everybody involved. And to just as one more example of what a great effort this was, we actually had 2 special agents from the FBI attend and expressed how impressed they were. That's a big deal, considering Monterey County and Santa Cruz County were also doing similar exercises, and they came to us and recognized the hard work that we put in and our staff put in. So with that, if you have any specific questions for myself or Chris, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, I'll go sit down.
Thanks, Kevin.
Mr. Chair, if I could. I want to thank you, Chris. You did a fabulous job. I commend you. Very professional, very real. I mean, I felt like we are very protected. Our, like he mentioned, our Sheriff's Department was there, probation, the FBI. It was an amazing feat to pull that off. And the fact that you were doing this to address possible multiple injuries and how you set it all up, I learned a lot that day. And yes, I do feel a lot better and a lot safer knowing how well trained our staff is in all facets, public safety, public health, you name it. So thank you for a really, really great job in putting this all together.
Thank you.
Supervisor Munzer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The comment I have to make is I had every intention of coming and observing, but I ended up in a couple meetings that morning not being able to make it. But shortly after the event, I was already hearing good things about it. So you guys did a great job, and I thank you for it.
We appreciate you being there in spirit.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. The last item we have is we'd like to remove item number 9 from consent. This particular this case has been dismissed, so there's no reason to bring this particular item to the board. And that's all the announcements, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. CDO. Moving on to board announcements. I'll start to my left. Supervisor Barrios.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I didn't mention, along the lines of this public health drill, is that there were a lot of volunteers there. Amateur radio was there, countywide. We had the Red Cross. They were all there as if they were at an actual event that might have occurred. So that's also good to know that we have a huge volunteer base. So thank you to the volunteers. And the only other thing is that VFW LULAC pulled off a great event and a parade, or events, I should say, and parade for our veterans. Did a wonderful job of honoring them. So it was very nice to be able to attend those. Thank you.
Supervisor De La Cruz.
Yes, Mr. Chair, make it real brief because I want to yield the rest of my time to our great colleague, Supervisor Botello. On a serious note, I really want to thank the Barragon family. There was an issue on the Vets Commission that the Babe Ruth League Club were having a hard time in terms of their fields. In fact, Mr. Lopez came before us expressing some type of plea to the county for assistance. Mr. Andrew Barragon actually stepped up to the plate and he donated X amount of dollars to make sure that the Babe Ruth League does not get postponed. So I want to give a hats off and congratulations to Mr. Andu Barragan for helping out the Babe Ruth League.
Excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The only announcement I have is I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving on Thursday. And I also would like to invite the public, or remind the public to attend, or hopefully to attend this Saturday, November 26th, beginning at 5:30, the annual Lights On celebration in downtown Hollister. So certainly get there a little early, shop local. I know that we have a whole bunch of little stores downtown, so your support is greatly appreciated. I also have to announce that I'll be excusing myself in about 6 minutes or so. I have to attend a funeral at 11 a.m. this morning, but I will be back. Supervisor Munzer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I too want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Hope it's a safe holiday for you and you don't eat too much and your football team wins. I attended the Pinnacle Gateway community meeting down in King City on Tuesday, November 15th. And this is where the communities within a 60-mile radius of the Pinnacles are getting together and trying to promote not only the Pinnacles, but the individual communities and the region as a tourist destination. The county has been involved, the city of Hollister has been involved, and the city of San Juan Bautista has been involved with many of the cities in the Monterey area. It was a very good meeting. Mobility partnership meeting attended with Supervisor Barrios, and it is moving forward with the realignment of 152. COG met last week and already discussing 2018 and possible sales tax, and realizing that we need to get busy on it now in promoting a future road, transportation tax on the ballot for not only Highway 25 but our local roads. And I want to report that I attempted to find a misspelling or something else out of place in the minutes that we are approving today to show Supervisor Barrios that we'll be in good hands, but unfortunately I couldn't find anything, so I'm not sure we'll be in good hands once she leaves office.
I found a bunch.
Well, that's my point. We're not going to be in good shape without you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all.
No, that's good. Yeah, I didn't think you would find anything, Jerry, to be honest with you.
No, I couldn't.
Yes, Supervisor Munzer and I had the COG meeting, and this is a big deal. We have to do something about our roads. It's just being completely torn up by the increased traffic, and especially the truck traffic that is coming into this county. And what I was very glad to hear and reported out was the draft work plan, which will continue to work as a COG board, that kind of lays out a better approach than what we had in for the Measure P effort. I think we have to do a better job in educating the public what specifically we need to do and why and how much it is. And I think we'll be rewarded to doing this a little bit more thought out. And the draft work plan is here. Staff is working on it, and we'll have this issue before us at every single COG meeting going forward. And hopefully we could bring back to our board, and the two cities could bring back a good work plan to pass a special sales tax to be a self-help county. We continually hear about our roads and the issues that we have on Highway 25 and other highways. Going about the fire district. From the start, we knew that we had to go in a different direction than a contract with Hollister. This was discussed between council members City of San Juan and the City of Hollister especially, that at some point a JPA or a special district, fire district, would need to be formed. And we're coming down this path. Hollister is not noted for being well managed, and hence their financial problems that they have to keep passing special taxes to finance, just to keep city services available, and also their management practices are not very good. Their overtime and top-heavy departments is just not sustainable. And that's why I always supported JPA to kind of help provide the services at a reasonable, sustainable cost. And this is something that I thought was a possibility, that Hollister may not participate. I think they're damn foolish for not doing so, in the fact that their OPEB, their retirement liabilities are, is a strain on actually putting boots on the ground. This would have been a way out as far as better financing and staffing the fire department based on economic of scale. We have to do this anyway. If Hollister chooses to go down their own path, that's their choice. But I really think, in the interest of the citizens that they're trying to serve and protect, that they'll come back around and recognize that we could provide services far better than together than individually. But I'm confident that the county and along with partnership with the City of San Juan, I have never heard of any inclination that they don't want to be a part of this, could go off and form their own special district or the JPA. But like I said, from the beginning, speaking with the mayor, 6 years ago, and he's supportive of this. And I just wonder if it's politics rather than good sense that is driving this bus. I could see where the fire union would be pretty defensive as far as taking this course. We're not allowed $350,000 worth of overtime be used in a department that the county has anything to say about. We're going to have a reserve program that works tremendously in other communities. Los Banos is a great example. Similar size, same demographics. They have a reserve program, and they run their fire department for less than half of what Hollister's budget is. That's what I kind of envision to provide fire protection in this county. Not just to line the pockets of to six figures to a handful of professional firefighters. So that's where I'm at with it.
Thank you, Supervisor Botello. So I think we have one more meeting this year, 13th?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
So we certainly need to agendize, I believe, something. Give Supervisor Barrios one last hurrah at especially this important issue. And I think that, I don't know what was said last night, but as was stated, I believe by our staff, that some council members or the council as a whole basically said that they have a fire department. Why entertain anything else? Well, thanks for stating the obvious, but it's also obvious if you pick up a newspaper, public safety budgets have devoured our local government budgets in general, our general fund budgets. So the purpose of contracting with them originally was it was an opportunity for hopefully have the less duplication of effort, I guess you can say, and to try to be smart with our taxpayer dollars. But at the same time, we always explore, that's why we wrote it in the contract, to at least explore this opportunity for this JPA for the benefit of our taxpayers. Because if we could have the opportunity to take this off of our public budgets, and it can be done so responsibly, why not explore it? And I think that was always our intention. Whether it works or not is one thing, but at least we can explore it. So let's agendize this for next meeting in some capacity, so we could have a more thorough a discussion. So, okay. So at this time, I'm going to turn over the gavel to Supervisor Jaime de la Cruz, and I anticipate I'll be back after lunch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay. Now we'll move to consent agenda. Does any board member wish to remove any of the items out of consent?
In all seriousness, Mr. Vice Chair, there were a lot of spellings but I'll bring those to the clerk of the board. They don't change the meaning of the minutes, and they can be corrected. So I won't pull it. Thank you.
I was hoping you would, but okay. All right. Anyone else? Anyone from the public? None? Okay. We're going to pull out number 9.
Yep.
Is there a motion to approve amended consent agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
So, a motion by Barrios, second by Munzers. All those in favor say aye.
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 Against? Motion carries. Okay, go to County Council. When we approve consent, did it also approve the amendment consent item too?
Yes, because you approved the amended consent. So,
Perfect.
So
Thank
that's part of the amended consent.
Okay, good. Now we'll go to regular agenda number 18, Board of Supervisors. Approve appointment to the CSAC Board of Directors for the 2016-17 association year, beginning November 29th, 2016.
I'll take that.
You'll take that?
Yeah, I'll take
Okay,
that
Ray?
if that's all right with you, Mr. Chair, or Mr. Vice Chair. Yeah, so per CSAC Constitution, executive committee members are elected by your board. This term of the election will commence November 29, 2016. So at the CSAC annual conference meeting, we need to have representation coming up here very soon, next week. Hence, supervisor attending this particular meeting, we have Supervisor Jaime de la Cruz attending. So it is our request that your board elect Supervisor de la Cruz to the directorship of that in representation of our county, as well as your board to go ahead and elect an alternate of your choosing.
Okay.
So that's.
Thank you. Discussion among the board?
Yeah, I have a question. Now, this is just for the representation, not for the attending of the conference, because usually the supervisor-elect attends that conference, and there's a lot to be learned from that. So is that what we're also discussing here, or just the representatives for?
It's just the representatives.
Just representatives, okay. So that our supervisor-elect will have the opportunity to elect to attend the conference.
That's correct.
Okay.
And actually, Madam Supervisor, he'll actually be attending the conference at the new supervisor training for that week. He has the opportunity to stay there, but I'm not sure if he's going to stay there the entire week. I think he has other obligations.
Very good to hear. It's very helpful for a newcomer. Thank you.
I encourage him to attend some of the other meetings on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
That would be good.
It's afforded to him if he wants to attend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Further discussion? Supervisor Muller?
Mr. Vetcher, my understanding is that CSAC themselves, the board of directors, has changed how they're kind of accepting members, that they want to have a say in who is going to be on their board, so who's going to be representing from us. So we make the motion, select our representative and our alternate, and then they have to accept them. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. It's just like the way we do with the Planning Commission, where a recommendation from that supervisor comes to the floor and the board approves it. In this case, this body makes a recommendation to the executive branch, which then the executive branch recommends to the full board, and the full board approves it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
Further discussions?
I guess you haven't been much of a problem to them, so they'll seat you.
Actually, Richard likes me. All right, let me open up to the public. Anyone from the public? None? Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
I was just going to recommend, you have been representing us for the last, for this year, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Up until now, that you continue as a representative, but I really would like to see our supervisor-elect. I don't know that we can appoint him at this point, but I certainly learned a lot at that level, and it's very helpful. So I would recommend that he come in as the alternate.
The only question I have on that is he sworn in to be a supervisor at
He's
that
not.
point?
No.
That would be the clinker.
Yeah.
Well, maybe consideration for, provided that he's sworn in and, or after he's sworn in, I don't know.
Actually, through my experience, supervisors-elect could attend the rest of the sessions. They can.
Well, I just got a nod from Matt. That means that we can make that recommendation, and then it can become official based on the swearing in when they are official?
Yes.
Okay. So then I'll just make that recommendation that it is effective as soon as they become sworn in supervisors, or he becomes sworn in.
So what you're saying is that moving forward, we're going to develop a policy that an elected official will become the alternate moving forward, or just for that one time?
No, just the one time.
Okay.
I mean, I just think it'll benefit.
Okay. So that's a form of motion?
Yes, I can make that.
Is there a second?
I'll second it if it's if it could be done.
Is there discussion on it? None? Okay. Let me restate the motion. The motion is to direct Dela Cruz to be the representative, with Supervisor-elect Mark Medina as being as the alternate. All those in favor say aye.
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 Against? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Number 19, Health and Human Services. Jim?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So today we're back in front of you to finish up the work on the winter warming shelter. These are the agreements with the Farm Labor Association and with the First Alarm Security and Patrol. We said to you at the last meeting that we would be back with these, and so this is to approve these and give the director the authority to sign and move forward.
Thank you. Discussion from the board? Supervisor Botello?
Yeah, I was looking at the budget.
Yes.
And it has a little shortfall, but your decrease office supplies to balance.
Yes.
Can you decrease $16,700 worth of office supplies to balance that?
I believe that we can do that.
Okay, and then the second question, I guess there's 2 meals per day, breakfast and lunch and dinner.
Yes.
Anticipating 40 people on average.
Right.
Between the two programs last year, there was quite a few days where there wasn't that many there. So would conceivably the budget could be balanced off of not serving as many meals. I don't know how our contract reads with the provider, but
yes,
is that another area that probably could be some
yes,
cost savings?
The contract that we have with the provider is based upon a minimum number. I think the minimum is like 20. And so the rate that will be charged will fluctuate based upon the number of meals that are served. And last year, when we were going through the budget, as we were able to do things, we were able to make adjustments in the budget, and I think we actually ended up with a surplus at the end. So we can manage that process to make that happen. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. And there's really no opportunity for faith groups to donate meals as they have done in the past with the Homeless Coalition, or?
The opportunity this year is for faith-based and community groups to sponsor a day and be involved in that day, but the meals will be provided by the Farm Laborers Association.
Okay, because that probably could save a lot of. What would the faith groups do if they're not providing meals?
They come up and they do presentations and talk to people and try to work with people to help them and things like that.
Could we get them to provide some meals on some days so we could save some money?
In the negotiation with the Farm Labor Association, the agreement we're signing is that they will provide the meals this year. This is the last year we'll be up there.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
All the questions you asked is what I wanted to ask.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor
Apologize.
Munzer? No, it's okay. Thank you. Supervisor Munzer?
Yeah, meeting with Jim and discussing this was one of the meetings I had when I missed the activities at the theater. So we kind of went over this, and he's answered all my questions. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll open up to the public. Anyone from the public? No, and I'll close it. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move per staff recommendation.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Against? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Jim. Number 20. Jim, stay there.
Yes. So this year, the state said to us that we needed to have a signed agreement with them on the operation of the family winter shelter program. This is not the warming shelter program, is that right? This is the family side. So every year we also have, on the family side of the migrant camp, the ability for families to be there. And in the past, they've never required this signed agreement, and then at the last minute, we got information from them saying that this year they did. So by approving this action, you authorize us to sign the agreement with the state and move forward with the family winter shelter program.
Thank you. Questions? None? What's open up to the public? None? What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve, Mr. Chair, per staff recommendation.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Against? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much, and be sure and visit our winter programs.
Will do. Thank you, Jim.
To be able to see how we're doing.
Okay, good. All right, 21, HR, Georgia.
Good morning, members of the board. This item has been a long time coming. You, in 2015, approved the concept of forming the Resource Management Agency, authorized a position for the director. We've hired Brent Barnes as the director, and he's been operating as the director of the Resource Management Agency, but he's overseeing 3 separate departments: Public Works, Planning, as well as integrated waste. And so this is introducing the ordinance now to amend our chapter, Chapter 3.01, Title 3, to create the Resource Management Agency. It will become one department as an agency. It's taken us some time took us a little while to get the director on board. Then we worked through some of the meet and confer process with our recognized employees or organizations. We have finally concluded that process and are ready to move forward.
Okay. Barbara, you want to enlighten us some information?
I just will read the title of the ordinance for the record, just so the board has that in the record. An ordinance amending Chapter 3.01 of Title 3 of the San Benito County Code to finalize the reorganization of the Planning, Public Works, and integrated waste departments into a new resource management agency.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments from the board? None? Public? None? Bring it back. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve ordinance number...
Per staff recommendation, we'll bring it back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Per staff recommendation and bring it back.
Okay. All right. Just to restate, it's to make a motion to accept introduction, waive further, and bring it back for date, right, to be determined.
Yes, and also the CEQA finding.
And the CEQA finding. Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Against? Motion carries. I got to take a quick 5-minute break. Let's take a quick 5-minute break.
Actually, you wouldn't have to bring it down.
Yes. All right. All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda will be number 20. Shoot, just went blank. Number 22. Thank you. Thank you. This is from our Resource Management Agency.
Good morning again, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board. This is, relating to integrated waste, and my role here right now is simply to introduce Kathleen Gallagher and Kevin McCarthy from our consultant team, who will give you a very brief presentation and are available to answer any questions you may have on this item.